Hello, everyone. My name is Sally Bayment, and I am Vice President of Marketing for Juniper's Cloud and Service Provider Solutions. And joining me today, I have the great pleasure to introduce Christian Kaufmann, Vice President of Technology at Akamai. Christian, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sally. Thanks for the invite, and the pleasure is really on my side.
Yeah, thank you. So, in full disclosure, Akamai and Juniper, we have had a very strong and long-standing partnership for quite some years. In fact, Juniper is one of the many global companies that benefit from Akamai's robust and reliable cloud offerings. So first of all, on behalf of everyone at Juniper, thank you for helping us optimize our external digital landscape. Obviously, a big part of that is juniper.net. So thank you for that.
Thank you. You're most welcome. Actually, let me give the compliment back. As you know, and as we will talk about, some of the traffic flows over Juniper routers. So we have to say thank you for your services and your boxes.
You're very welcome. So listen, maybe we can start and have you tell us a little bit about Akamai and just the sheer scale and scope of the network that you've built.
Sure. Akamai is the leading cloud and edge computation platform. So I think most people know us as a traditional CDN. So we deliver content since many, many years. But recently, we also added security and some other products to our portfolio. The Akamai platform is actually quite sizable. So one of our key motivations and one of our goals is to go as close as possible to the end user, so that the performance and the latency is as good as possible. And for that, we distribute our platform all over the world. We are currently in 135 countries, a little bit over 300,000 boxes at the edge. And as you can imagine, a lot of traffic coming from there.
Perfect. Thank you. And, I know you've done some interesting things, Christian, in terms of building out the backbone to support your server environment, particularly around your own software-defined network as well. Maybe if you could talk a little bit more in detail on that, particularly the benefits that it brings to Akamai's business, as well as obviously the customers that you serve.
Mm-hmm. Sure. So for the people who know us, when we started, traditionally what we did is we actually put a couple of servers, depending on the need at a given location, and put them either at an internet exchange or into the eyeball networks. So basically your access provider. And that is how we started our CDN business. So for the longest time, we actually didn't have a backbone. We had, as I said, a couple of servers, probably a router in front of it. And then that was as an island connected to the particular eyeball provider. Over time, as traffic profiles and products changed, what we have seen is that we have more and more traffic actually between the various clusters. So they started to talk with each other. That had to do with, caching, storage, multi-tiered caching, and stuff like that. And at this point, we decided to actually build an own backbone to connect the various islands together where there was need. And that is also where then Juniper came into the play, because we decided to base the backbone purely on Juniper boxes. So we use Juniper boxes coming from the backbone side. We use them for the backbone, right? So the 100 gig links all around the world are between Juniper routers. But then when we come traditionally more to the metro network or inside of a data center, then we actually started to use different technologies depending on the use case. And the cluster in itself, which is basically a couple of routers and the service behind, or in a big scenario, actually, where we have our own cloth network, like a fabric network, as we call it, we actually run our own proprietary SDN components in it. So which exit are we using? How do we route traffic in between? How do we do the traffic distribution and the load balancing is actually done by an in-house software. We then also have two flavors, and that is where the disaggregation comes into it. For the fabric itself, we can either use Junos, and this is where we use you as the software, and we have it on white label boxes. Or in some cases, we have our own software. If you need a little bit less features, probably no MPLS or no additional parts, And then we have written our own layer 2 and layer 3 software stack and actually use our own stuff. And this is, I guess, one of the parts which we liked on Juniper so much, that you offer these various flavors, right? You offer on one side a box with the operating system, and then depending on the use case, also just the operating system, and everything works needlessly together with our own boxes where we also run our own software. So this scale, if you want to call it like that, where you can actually choose and disaggregate exactly as the original idea was, the hardware from the software, depending on the use case, is something we really appreciate with Juniper.
Thank you. So that very interesting. And, you know, in certainly a theme that's been top of mind for many is 2020, right? What a year in terms of massive growth in traffic, huge demands, and more than anything, just the shifting traffic patterns that happened literally overnight. Tell us a little bit about how Akamai dealt with those changes in traffic patterns and how you might think about doing things differently, knowing what you know now about these past 12 months.
So I think we have seen two different things in 2020, and especially March was actually the big month. So usually whatever we have on traffic growth for a whole year, we basically got that all in 1 month. So 2020 March was as much as usually a whole year of traffic growth. That came actually from two sources. One source was one of our products for enterprise security. So whatever company now needed a secure connection back to their office and actually connect their remote worker could take one of these products from us. On the other side, now a lot of people were at home, right? Because they also couldn't go out in the evening. And what we have seen then was a massive increase in video consumption, but also in downloads. Some of our customers are offering downloads for PlayStation and other boxes. And if you then start downloading a 50 or 60 gig file, you know, as a software update or the whole game, then that drives traffic increase.
Yeah. So anything that you would do differently, knowing what you know now about this past year, Christian?
No, probably not. So we always had one of our business models or customers were to plan for big events. So one big event which was supposed to come last year was the European Championship. So we were a little bit lucky that even if the European Championship didn't happen for soccer in Europe, that what we built capacity ahead to actually deal with that event was then coming very handy for the traffic growth or the traffic explosion, which we actually have seen. I think the biggest changes, the biggest lessons learned out of that, to be honest, were not so much from a design perspective, probably, or from a technology perspective, but probably more from a supply chain perspective, right? If certain countries are down, China wasn't producing and so on, then that has an implication. So usually most stuff is halfway just in time, but now you have a traffic growth, which is quite huge. And then you have to basically catch up and build all the stuff and new capacity. And if you then figure out that the supply chain doesn't really work, then that's certainly an issue. One other interesting part was usually we have a good outline of, you know, when we want to upgrade and build capacity, and the backbone is one example for that, because you know your traffic growth and you have a planning for the future. In case of last March, I think whatever we had in mind for, you know, whatever we need as a new design or catch up or how many boxes we have to build in which time frame accelerated quite a bit, right? Because now we had to catch up and actually build all the parts which we have eaten up in 1 month for the remaining year.
Yeah, no, I absolutely understand and totally appreciate the supply chain demands as well in terms of as well competing with everyone else. So, so based on obviously the last 12 months and even, you know, your experience, what's next, Christian, for Akamai and what's next for the industry?
Well, I think we have two parts. One is the still ongoing growth, which we have on the traditional CDN platform. And it's actually funny because I looked at our notes when we first talked about today's call and prepared it. And we actually talked about, the backbone had a traffic range at the time of 40 terabits. And that was, 6 weeks ago or so when we started to talk. And I looked it up yesterday, and now we are at 64. So, we added basically another 24 terabits just on the backbone part between our servers in just 6-7 weeks. So as you can see, traffic growth doesn't really slow down on our side. So that's certainly something which will keep us occupied. The other part, like what is the next big thing? This is always the traditional and good question. And I think there are two parts coming up, even if they're not really well defined yet. One is, what are the implications of 5G? I think nobody exactly knows yet. You get all these benefits of increased throughput and speed, but what does that actually mean for CDN and cloud providers, and what will the adoption rate be? And then you have, of course, IoT, which kind of fits together with the 5G story. So we certainly will see more in regards of security products in that regard, but also even more traffic moving to the edge, which is where we are traditional at home.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. So listen, Christian, I just want to thank you for your perspectives, your insights, certainly your time as well. Always good to catch up. And certainly we look forward to continued partnership and partnership momentum going forward. So thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thanks to you. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.